Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, and this video is kind of going to be all over the place because I don't really know what I want to say. I was up quite late last night just formulating how I wanted this video to go, how I wanted to say what I was going to say, and I still don't really have an idea, so I'm gonna break this up into 3 parts. The first part will be an update on where I've been. The next part will be how my channel is gonna look for the rest of the year, and then the last part will be the things that I read in September. It's not very many, but if you are just here for the wrap up, go ahead and skip ahead. So to start off, if you see any concerning bruises, I'm getting to it. I don't want to like flash them on camera or really like talk about them in depth or show them, because it just feels kind of icky to do that. So to start off the month of September, end of August, start of September, I got COVID. It was literally just me and my partner going to work. We didn't do anything else. We're vaccinated, all that, and it was tough. Like, it wasn't easy. It was an easy thing. The very following week, 2 of my animals got sick, independent of each other, and then last week, or however many weeks ago after, from when you're seeing this, I was rushed to the emergency room for for something that was triggered by COVID. So I have irritable bowel syndrome, or something akin to it, but the symptoms are pretty similar. And the week before I was admitted, I was having a very bad flare-up, and it resulted in some blood that was concerning. So I went to an urgent care in my area. If you're not familiar with urgent care, it's essentially like pop-up hospital, but it tends to be cheaper. And they can do things like give you splints and stuff like that. And so I thought that this was kind of just like a fine thing. I got there, my heart rate was 160, my temperature was 103, and I was quickly rushed to the emergency room for some concerning things going on my skin and stuff like that, namely bruises and rashes and things like that. They took me to the hospital. I got to the emergency room about 8. I was admitted by midnight, and I was there for the remainder of the week. I was put on a lot of critical care meds. I was put on some steroids, and I was monitored for the time that I was there, obviously. And I was diagnosed with low blood platelets, which basically just means that my blood would not clot, and my platelet levels were so low that if I were to sustain any injury, I would bleed out and die, basically, because I didn't have any platelets. I didn't have platelets in my body enough to sustain an injury. So I have a lot of heavy bruising, and it came with just a lot of pain. So I'm now back home, obviously, and this is something that I don't have to deal with for the rest of my life. When people say things like get vaccinated and get boosters and stuff to protect the people around you who can't do that, I'm an example of that, because a vaccine or a booster or any virus or anything like that could trigger this thing, and I could end up in a really bad situation. So it's something that I'm gonna have to manage the rest of my life with doctors, and I'm gonna have to be very careful, even more careful than I already am. And it's just things that I have to watch out for, and it's just this thing that has created this like massive shift in, I guess, the way that I think. And I'm not gonna like go out and skydive. It's actually quite the opposite. It's a very scary thing to imagine that like I could go out and get into a car accident and die and just bleed out because my levels were so low that I didn't know it. And so it's created this like dissonance, I guess, in my head, and I didn't know how it made me feel or how I wanted to proceed. It just is a scary thing, I think, when you find out that you're going to be dealing with something medically for the rest of your life. And I'm sure people watching this can relate to that, but it's the first thing that I've had that was large. Like, obviously I have irritable bowel and things like that, so medically I'm not like 100% there, but it's never been something where they're like, yeah, we're gonna take you to the emergency room, you need to be like hooked up to stuff. And it was just a scary experience, and I will, yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't think I have anything else to talk about in regards to that. I don't know how much I really want to talk about it outside of what I've said. I didn't know how much I was going to share, but so in regards to my channel, if you noticed in September I didn't really post a lot. Usually if you are a sub of my channel or you've been following my channel at all, I like to do 3 videos a week, usually 1 vlog, 2 sit down videos, and I didn't do that this month, mostly because of COVID and then the illness and stuff like that, but the majority of it was because I had decided that I was going to post an extra video every week in October and do 31 videos in December. So a lot of September was spent pre-filming videos, and obviously all of the shit that's been going on has basically derailed all of that. I was in bed thinking about this video and also thinking about how I wanted to replan my stuff. At this point, I have the majority of October pre-filmed. A lot of the vlogs and things that I had planned, obviously I don't have done, but I'm gonna kind of take it as I go. I do want to try to still hit those videos in December, but we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I don't know what this is going to, like, how this is going to affect me going forward. Obviously it's something that is like manageable and you can live with it, and you can get on steroids anytime your levels drop too low and stuff like that. It's not something that's like life ending, but it's just something that I have to, you know, deal with. So at this point in October, you're gonna be seeing a lot of pre-filmed videos, videos that I filmed in August when I started like planning this whole thing, and then we'll see how the content goes other than that. Yeah, I still would like to put out the videos that I had planned. I just don't know when I'm gonna get to them. So that is the channel update, and the health update and all that. My animals are fine. My ferret is going on adrenal medication. I can't like super get into the history and all of that of ferret health because it's quite extensive, especially for ferrets in the US, but she essentially has been diagnosed with adrenal disease, which is not something that usually hits ferrets as young as her, but there is an implant that can help sustain her life. It'll eventually kill her, but the implant will make it so that she has a relatively normal life until she gets older. And that's something that I knew going into purchasing ferrets or homing ferrets, and something that I'm gonna have to deal with my other ferrets as well. Both of my other ferrets are getting up into the years where health issues for US ferrets start arising. And then my other animal, my cat, Gotham, she's fine. We were able to manage. It was just spent with us racing around to the different emergency vets in the area, and we ended up ultimately having to deal with it ourselves. It's something that's manageable at home, but it was just, it was a scary experience. If you don't know, my animals are like my entire life to me. I care very deeply for them. They're always my first concern. So it was just an overwhelming experience. So it's been an overwhelming month. It's been very emotional, very hard. But I'm looking forward to moving on to October and just kind of getting resettled again, which brings me to what I read last month. It's quite early. I still have an entire week left of the month, the time that I'm filming this. However, I think I will likely, sorry, I'm getting winded. I will likely be reading books for other videos that are to come. I usually don't discuss them in these wrap-ups. So let's talk about the books that I didn't read for a video. So first up, I read Demon King. This is essentially Fallen by Lauren Kate, but like make it sexy. So this woman goes to Vegas to find her lost friend who went to Vegas for like a bookkeepers or librarians convention, and then that friend disappeared, and now she's there to investigate and make a deal with the devil to find out where her friend is. And he's like the literal devil, and they basically have like, it's the exact same storyline as Fallen, If you're familiar with that, like the plot twist and all that, it's essentially the same. I ended up giving it 3 stars. It had the very same feelings as the other Elizabeth Briggs that I read. Now I will say my ratings for this month were definitely a little off. My reading has not been great, was not great in September. So some books that I maybe would have enjoyed, i.e. all the bully romances that I read that I didn't enjoy, that I would have enjoyed, I didn't necessarily enjoy. This was just like an okay read, but it wasn't anything spectacular. I then read Disgrace by Brittany C. Cherry. This was a small town romance about a woman who just got out of a bad marriage. She moves back to her hometown where she's like the preacher's daughter, or pastor's daughter, and she makes a friendship. She has a friendship with the like outcast of the town. I gave this 4 stars. I enjoyed it. I think it had all of like the sweet melancholy that Brittany C. Cherry is kind of known for, but it didn't feel like anything truly like spectacular. I finished it the first week of September and I'm struggling to really recall much about it, but I think if you like Brittany C. Cherry and you're used to her kind of stereotypical feeling, tropes, all of that, you'll enjoy it. I then read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. This is a very popular memoir right now. It is about Jeanette McCurdy, who was a child actress. She was a little after my time. Like I was aging out of iCarly when it came around, but this is essentially her experience in child acting and with an abusive mother. I didn't rate this just because feelings around a memoir or rating a memoir just feels a little icky for me personally. Obviously anybody who chooses to rate, like, I don't blame you or, you know, anything. People like to qualify their reading and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But for me, I just couldn't put a rating on someone telling their life story. This is told in little vignettes. It's a pretty short memoir and it spans from when she first became a child actress to adulthood, when her mother passes away from cancer and she has to figure out how to live without the influence of her abusive mother. It is very hard to read. It is a lot to do with her eating disorder. There is mentions of child abuse, neglect, sexual abuse, just a lot of heavy topics. I did think it was a remarkable read and I applaud her for sitting down and writing it and being so open and vulnerable with her life and the things that she struggled with. I wish that we had had a little bit more of an emotional component. It felt like I was reading like a textbook that was just explaining every event that happened, and I guess you can look at it from 2 lenses. One of which was very much like presenting you the events and she's allowing you to form your own opinion about what those events did to her and or what they meant or the impact. Or it was sort of like almost a diary or a journal where you're just recounting things because you're so in your own head that you don't have to think about how you're feeling because you're kind of just feeling it. And she was so emotionally stunted by her mother and all of the things that she endured that it would make sense that she didn't know how to like emotionally express herself. It did feel a little bit disjointed because it was so far. I think it's about 4 or 5 years after the last vignette. I think the like the epilogue is like recent, but mostly it's like in the past, a couple of years. So I would have just liked to see a little bit more of the emotional impact, but in no way am I saying that I am privy to that. And if she does not wish to disclose those feelings, then she definitely doesn't have to. So that's the last thing that I read for the month that I didn't talk about in a video for the month or won't be talking about in the future in another video. So if you made it all the way to the end, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, I will answer what I feel like I can mentally down below. I hope you guys had a good September. I'm excited to see the rest of my content for the rest of the year, and I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I hope I enjoy making it. If you don't have anything to say, leave some sort of heart down in the comments. If you are looking for more content, you can follow my Instagram and my podcast Instagram. You can also follow my podcast. We are taking the month of October off. However, we will be back in November with 3 episodes. It's a horror podcast. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next one.